Hey there, this is your coach James Wilson back with the next lesson in the Time Crunch Trail Rider Solution. This is our first one going over the mindset portion of things. This is going to go over how to create a success mindset. And in a lot of ways, the mindset lessons are the most important things that you can take away from the Time Crunch Trail Rider Solution. And the reason for that is a lot of times it's what's going on upstairs that's ultimately holding us back from achieving the results that we want with the rest of our body. So I'll tell new clients, I got to get you squared away from the neck up before I can really start to make progress from the neck down. And a lot of that deals with this success mindset that I'm going to go over in today's lesson. So I've identified 3 things that really lead to this success mindset. Now this goes way beyond just wishing that good things will happen to you and trying to keep a positive outlook when bad things don't. These are active things that you can do that will help you get more out of just life in general, more out of the training process. And so it's basically understanding that you're not a victim of circumstances or genetics or lack of talent or whatever, fill in the blank excuse that you may have. You're not a victim of that. You just need to learn how to work around certain things or how to improve in certain areas. So again, that mindset will really help you going forward. Now, the first thing that you want to know how to do is learn how to deal with setbacks. And this is a huge one because training is never going to be, or progress is never going to be just a linear line. You're not going to progress in a straight line forever. You're going to have ups and downs. And those downs, it's really important you understand how to deal with them, because a lot of people who don't know how to deal with setbacks and failures end up quitting. And one of the worst things you can do is be inconsistent with your efforts. And I'll get into that here with the last thing as to why that's important. But the point is that if you don't understand how to deal with setbacks and failures, you're going to be more likely to quit when you encounter them. So at the heart of this is what's known as the growth versus fixed mindset. And this is a concept that was introduced to me in the book Mindset. And what it looks at is how do you interpret and deal with failures and setbacks mentally? What is the story that you tell yourself when you encounter something? And so people that have the fixed mindset, which is unfortunately a very common mindset in today's society, says that when you fail, it's an indictment on you and how you suck and you have a lack of natural talent or skill or intelligence or luck or whatever, again, fill in the blank excuse that you may have. And that failures are just, that's showing that I'm no good at that and I need to avoid that. And so the growth mindset, on the other hand, looks at setbacks and failures as guideposts, ways that we can improve and learn. So if we fail at something, it's not because we suck and we just lack the natural talent or skill or whatever it may be. It's because there's something that we don't know, that we need to learn, that we need to practice, that we need to improve. And failures are actually our best teachers because they show us the areas that we need to improve. In fact, some of the literature that looks at optimal learning says that you're at your best when you're failing 30 to 40% of the time when you're practicing a new skill. So if you're always achieving 100% success, then odds are you probably suffer from the fixed mindset. You're afraid to venture out into things that make you feel uncomfortable because, again, you look at it as an indictment on you, and so you end up trying to protect yourself from that versus going out and actively seeking these lessons. Hey, I want to push myself. I don't mind failing. I don't mind looking like a fool trying a new exercise until I get it down. I don't mind maybe not riding as fast for a little bit until I learn a better cornering technique or something like that. So, or you overtrain and you end up getting sick and having to take weeks off of training. Again, it's understanding, hey, what are the lessons that I can learn from that and being okay with that? Like, yeah, it sucks when those things happen, but learn to deal with the setbacks, learn to deal with the failures. There's lessons there for you to learn. So again, oftentimes failure is the best teacher and can help you grow more than your successes. So just learn how to look at that. The next thing that you want to learn how to do is learn how to focus and learn how to focus and learn during training. And a lot of times we approach our training sessions like they're just like this mindless drill that we need to get through. As long as we, if we just do the exercise and we do this many sets and this many reps, and we're going to get the results from it. And unfortunately, that's not the case. What you want to learn how to do is practice perfect. So, because practice doesn't make perfect, practice just makes permanent. And so if you're not practicing perfect, then you're not getting what you can from your workout. So again, it's understanding that there are better ways to do a deadlift, to do a swing, to do a Turkish get-up, and that you should constantly be looking for ways that you can improve on those things. And this is one of the things, like, once this mindset also speaks to the idea of doing fewer things but do it better, you know, mastering the basics. You know, don't worry about doing 10,000 things one time, do one thing 10,000 times and you'll start to get it figured out. So again, that mindset of understanding the pursuit of perfection, knowing that you'll never achieve it, but that's okay, you're going to pursue it anyways, and that's what you're trying to do when you train. You're not just going in and mindlessly pounding out reps or mindlessly going on a ride all the time. Again, it's fun to turn the brain off and go for a ride, but that's not training. Training involves learning. Training involves practicing specific skills and you know, ways of doing things, and you know, focusing on trying to do that and learn the lessons you can, both when you don't do it right, recognizing when you don't do it right, and then recognizing when you do it right, and learning the lessons from that. So learn how to practice perfect. And finally, the last thing is understand the compound effect. And I touched on this with the first lesson, in that you need to be consistent over time. And one of the things that's really hard to understand in the beginning, when you're really starting to undertake a serious, you know, fitness program, is that small, consistent actions will add up over time to equal more than just the sum of themselves. And so they compound on each other. It's that, if you ever had that question of the compounding interest question, you know, when we were in school, you know, would you rather have, you know, a penny that, you know, doubles every day, or you know, $100? And then the answer is, you know, the penny that doubles every day, because you end up with way over $100. And what it is, it's that compounding effect that, you know, you start out with something small, but you consistently add to it, and it compounds over time into something really big. And so that's how you achieve some pretty cool things with your training over time. Is it's not knowing some secret that nobody else knows or finding the perfect workout program. It's simply being consistent over time. And what happens is you end up hitting what's known as the tipping point. The tipping point is basically this thing. There's a book by Malcolm Gladwell by the same name that explains the concept probably better than I'm going to here. But the idea is that the amount of effort that you put in on the front end, it's almost like going up a hill, going up a hill, going up a hill. You're putting in a lot of effort, and then you hit the tipping point where things tip and now they kind of start rolling down. All of the effort that you had to put in here, you were putting in more effort to get less than when you hit the tipping point. Now all of a sudden you're putting in less effort and getting more. And when you hit that tipping point with your training, when you reach a basic level of mobility and strength and fitness, you will find that you don't have to work as hard to maintain it, and that you're able to improve you know, with less effort as well. And so you just kind of reach that tipping point with your fitness, to where all of a sudden things are clicking better. But you have to appreciate that compound effect and be consistent over time. It's Dan John is one of my favorite authors. He calls them punch the clock workouts. Sometimes people think that if they're not having a world-class effort every time they train, that it's not even worth going out and training. You know, if you're not just hammering as hard as you can on the trail, or going in and hammering in the gym as hard as you can, it's not worth even showing up. The problem is no one can hammer at 100% for years and years and years on end. It's impossible. And so you're gonna have to have a lot of workouts where they're just punch the clock workouts. They're not bad workouts, but they're not spectacular workouts either. They're the ones where you're like, oh man, maybe I don't want to do this, but I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna give it my best effort, and you know, and that's fine. Just punch the clock, get the workouts in, take advantage of that compound effect, and that's how you end up achieving something wonderful over a long period of time with your training. So that's it. Those are the 3 things that I found really help develop and lead to a good success mindset. Learning how to deal with setbacks, understanding that they're not an indictment on your lack of insert your excuse. It's really just a signpost pointing you to how you can improve. Learn to practice perfect. You're not just going through your training sessions mindlessly. You need to be trying to achieve perfection. Understanding it's not something you will achieve, but try to achieve it. That mindset will help you get more out of your workouts. And then finally, understanding that compound effect. Small actions consistently taken day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year will add up to something pretty stinking cool on the back end. And you'll eventually hit that tipping point where you're not going to have to put in as much effort to continue to see, the results and stuff. And so anyway, so that's it. Hopefully you've gotten a lot out of this. And if you apply these things to both your training and your everyday life, you're bound to get a lot of value out of this lesson. So keep an eye out in 7 days when I hit you up with our next lesson, which is going to actually be phase 2 of your workout program. So if you've been consistent with your workouts, which is one of the things we talked about in this lesson with the compound effect, then you're going to have built some good movement and strength with that. And this next phase is going to build on those things there. So keep an eye out for that, and I'll talk to you then.